Hello, hello. I'm so excited for today's live stream. I even put a little makeup on for this, but today's video, I wanted to talk about information overload, why you're not manifesting or reaching your goals. So that's the topic we are going to be talking about today. I took my notes today because I journaled a lot. I journaled a lot the past couple of days and I didn't want to forget anything. So if you see me looking over, it's because I've got my handy dandy notebook and I have some notes written down. So, where to begin with this topic of information overload? Okay. So, if you're an entrepreneur, you're someone who's trying to grow a personal brand, you have a business, you're starting a new idea, it can get so easy. It can be so easy to consume, just constantly consume information, constantly consume what tactics are in, what platforms are in, what is the right method, right, to do anything and everything. What is the industry standard, right? And what I found is when you become obsessed with tactics and strategies and the right way to do things, you stop being obsessed with your mission. You stop being obsessed with the reason why you even got started. You lose focus of the people that were your why to begin with. And I found this to be true for my own businesses. Like when I started with photography, I was so concerned with how my website needed to be, what like platforms I needed to show up with my portfolio. When my gift is relationship building, my gift is just opening my mouth and telling people, hey, I'm open for business. If you need a photographer, hit me up. But I was so worried about being vulnerable because so many other experts said that you needed this, you needed that, you should do this, only do this platform. This is what's best for photographers. This is what's best for that. And I became obsessed with the strategy and the tactics. And so I wanted to talk about today how everybody has a different method. And each strategy and each tactic, they're not wrong, but are they right for you? Does it feel right to you? And a lot of times we get so caught up in the concept of, you know, well, they said it works. They said Facebook is where I should only be. Okay, well, that's dated because a lot of people are not on Facebook as much as they were before. Think about YouTube and Reels and think about how much Instagram has changed over the years. Think about how much the standard for audio versus original audio, all of these things keep changing and keep shifting. And so, my reasoning for this video is to encourage you to slow down and not consume so much information because what it's doing is making you constipated. And I can't think of another word to call it. So sorry if that's a little graphic, but when you are so when you're in the frame of just consuming information from all of these different experts and all of these different people, you are going to become constipated. And what happens when you're constipated? You're uncomfortable, it's hard to move. The people around you are like, girl, go handle your mess because you have an attitude, and you miss the opportunity to actually reach the people that you've been praying for. You miss the opportunities that you've actually been praying and calling in because you're so distracted by all of the noise, right? And so, why is it that we are so obsessed in today's world and in this day and age, especially if you're in the Western world, with consuming information so much in order to be successful? Well, I think it comes from wanting to be perfect. I think if we look at it from the lens of I'm new, I don't feel like I know what I'm doing, but they know what they're doing. They're the expert. They know some magical thing that I don't. So let me just learn from them, take all the notes I can, consume all the information that I can, and hopefully I can be almost as good as them. Hopefully I can almost reach their level of stardom or their level of expertise. But my friend, I'm here to tell you, they have already had their journey. They're still on their journey. You have your own journey and you're not starting from ground zero. If you have a new idea or you have your own business, you already have everything you need inside of you to succeed. I always had a phrase that I would say to myself whenever I would get stressed out. It was, you don't need what you think you need to succeed. And it's so true. We overcomplicate so much for what? Everything that we need is within us to reach our people, to serve the people that are called to us. And a lot of times when we are in a place of listening to other people, gleaning too much information from the experts, we start to throw up what they're saying. We start to literally just be the telephone game, right? Like if someone says something, then you repeat it, then they repeat it. And then it just becomes a big bubble of an industry that doesn't feel authentic, that doesn't feel good, right? And this world needs authenticity. Whatever industry that you're in, your business, your passion needs authenticity. When I think about trailblazers versus followers, right? The leaders versus the sheep. The leaders, the trendsetters, they are not following any blueprint. They are starting brand new. That's why they are trailblazers, because there was nothing there that was supposed to make sense, but they made sense out of it. And those who came after them were grateful. And so it's important for us, if we're trying to manifest the life of our dreams, if we're trying to manifest the business of our dreams and all of the things, it's important for us to think about, do we want to be the followers or the sheeps, or do we want to be the trendsetters? Do we want to do it in a new way that feels authentic and feels good to our lifestyle? One thing that I want to talk about for a second is I'm the kind of person, I get obsessed very quickly on whether it's someone that inspires me or a new sport or a new book. I get obsessed. I want to learn everything about it. I have found that in my life, whenever I get obsessed or I find a new influencer or a new thought leader, I put them up here. I put them on a pedestal. And it's funny because after the pandemic, a lot was revealed at how a lot of these people were not happy at home. A lot of these people were a hot mess and they were just portraying something that seemed like it was perfect. And here I was trying to model my life and my business after a hot mess, but they just were good at acting. And so I started to feel like maybe I was having failures or what was I doing wrong? When the truth is, I was never called to copy those people. I was just called to do my best. All I'm responsible for and all you are responsible for is doing the very best that you can and leveling up each stage. So think about a baby. A baby is crying and it has to be held. And then as it gets older, it starts to crawl. And then after it crawls, it's trying to walk. And each stage is a little frustrating, but the baby overcomes. And finally, it's walking. As an adult, you don't see adults crawling around. And if you did, there's something wrong with them because it looks weird. But a lot of times in this industry or in life, we think, I'm not ready to move because I need all of the information first. I am not capable of trying anything until it's perfect. And I'm here to tell you, you are robbing yourself of an opportunity to feel proud of yourself. I want to share a story with you about my nephew. This actually happened this week. He joined jujitsu, and I kind of pushed him into it, but he needed an outlet, and I I signed him up for a free class. And the first day was horrible. He was exhausted, mentally drained, so scared, so uncomfortable, and so nervous about trying something brand new that he psyched himself out before we even got in the building. He said, what if I don't know how to tie the rope? What if I don't know what to do? I tried to research before we came here. I'm not ready. And how many times do we do that as people, as entrepreneurs, as just anyone who wants to start something that's been put on our hearts? We psych ourselves out and we start to scramble, and energetically we become busybodies, nervous Nancy's, crazy people. And the thing with my nephew is I had to take a minute with him to help him see that all of these little details, they don't matter in the long run. They may seem like it's such a big deal right now, but in the long run, it's not that big of a deal. How do you tie a belt? You can ask for help. How am I supposed to stand? You have an instructor to help you. And a lot of times when we start a business or we start a passion project, we start thinking about the little details of how. And at the end of the day, God has placed people in your life to help you. God has placed people in our lives that are there to absolutely give us the guidance that we need. But we have to take the first step in the physical to even attract the right people. But if we walk in a place or we approach things with, I've got it all figured out, I read this, I went to a webinar, I know this, I know that, we're so constipated that when it's actually time to take action and move the needle in our life, we freeze. We psych ourselves out because we automatically go into, I haven't learned enough. I don't know enough. And back to my nephew, he only got through the warm up and had a meltdown, and he's autistic. So we're going to give him a little pass with that. But I didn't let him leave. He had to sit and watch the rest of them finish, say thank you, and we tried again the next day. And the next day we tried affirmations in the car on the way. And I told him, you're only responsible for trying your very best. That's it. You don't have to know all the things. Just promise me you'll try your very best and show up and watch how you inspire other people. Watch how your courage inspires others. And what do you know, guys? He literally went in there scared as can be, but he finished the class. He opened his mouth and asked for help when he needed it. He didn't go in there with a list of questions. He went in, and as something came up, he felt bold to ask a question. And he had so much fun. He was jumping up and down and was like, oh my God, I'm doing it. And I signed him up for jujitsu. So now he's a student and he is going to level up. And the more and more he does it, the more confident he will be. But imagine if we had gone home and I never took him back. Imagine if he was never able to be proud of himself. And the first day that we went, I asked him, I said, are you proud of yourself? Like, I'm proud of you for at least even coming here and trying something for the first time, but are you proud of you? And he said, no, I'm not proud of myself. I don't deserve a treat, because I was going to take him to go and get Chick-fil-A after. And I had to bring him back the next day because he deserved to feel proud of himself. And a lot of the times we, as adults, we rob ourselves of an opportunity to be proud of ourselves because we don't want to show up, because we're nervous to show up, because we're nervous to share our story, because we're nervous about the dreams and the passions that God put in our heart. We're nervous. And so we rob ourselves of the pride that it takes to get to the next level and to become better. And you know what's wild is one of the affirmations that I gave him was, when I show up and I try my best, I inspire others. And this is so true for all of us. When we show up and when we're nervous, it's okay. But do you know how many people are inspired by you showing up? Even when you're nervous, even when it's uncomfortable. Courage and bravery does not come from you always feeling good. The people in history that have been titled as brave and courageous, it's because they were in the face of uncomfortability. And I think so many times we get it backwards because we think this is going to be, this has to feel perfect for me to be courageous. And there's a lot of people out here lying and faking bravery and faking courage and saying, I struggle too, guys, but they are not really putting themselves in a position where they can be amazing, even more amazing, because there's fear, right? When we are afraid, we self-sabotage. Let's talk about self-sabotage for a minute, okay? Because I wrote down some notes, all right? Why do we self-sabotage? Let's get into it. So if you've got a pen and paper, let's write it out, okay? I came up with 3 reasons. I did some research, 3 reasons why we self-sabotage, okay? Number 1, we're afraid of more responsibility. Number 2, we're afraid of more attention. And number 3, we're afraid of more accountability. And when I was journaling on this is so true. Let's go back to my nephew for a second. He didn't want the responsibility of having to become better and having to learn a new skill that felt so uncomfortable. He didn't want the attention either of people looking at him and saying, oh, he's new. Hey, there's a new student. He also didn't want the accountability that now when he signs up every week, he is accountable for doing his best. Now, that doesn't mean perfection, but he is accountable for growing. And how many times do we self-sabotage because we're afraid of the responsibility, we're afraid of the attention, we're afraid of the accountability? But what's so weird about it is most of us, if you're watching this video, you have been praying for more followers. You've been praying for more clients. You've been trying to manifest the life of your dreams, the body of your dreams, the partner of your dreams. But at the same time, a part of you is afraid of what comes with that. You're afraid of the accountability. Let's talk about our dream body for a second. That's responsibility. That is responsibility on your part to show up and watch what you're eating, making sure you're fueling your body with good things and moving your body. There's also fear of attention. What if people start saying, wow, you're switching up? Why are you watching this? Or wow, you're switching up. That's attention. Even if it's good attention, it's attention that you're not used to. And then accountability. If you start looking snatched, okay, then people are going to maybe look at you sideways if you start to eat a big thing of cake. And so there are these fears that come up whenever we start to self-sabotage. But all of your dreams and all of your hopes are on the other side of overcoming that fear, overcoming the self-sabotage behavior. And when I think about my nephew and how brave he was, and they kept telling him that too, like just him coming back and showing up and being consistent, how inspired the teachers were that this autistic boy came back and decided to show up. That is inspiring because he had every reason in society to not go back. There were other kids in the class that are not autistic with him. All the other kids in the class don't have this quote unquote limitation. And he actually got the moves like that. But what if he hadn't exposed himself to such an amazing opportunity to even see if it was within him? And a lot of times we really just look to filling our minds with information and filling our time with podcasts and blogs and YouTube videos of other people living the life that we want, other people leveling up in the way that we want, other people building the thing that we want. But when it comes time for us to do it, we fall back into fear because we don't really want the responsibility that comes with that big email list or that huge platform following or the attention. What is this? Like anxiety wells up within us and we're like, oh, this is too much. I'm not prepared. What if I say something weird? Or what if it doesn't hit right? Or we're afraid of the accountability. When I think about YouTube, I've been trying to be more consistent on here. That is a fear of mine, is the accountability. What if I start showing up more consistently and then I just decide not to? I don't want people being like, oh, there Tina goes again. You know, she had something that she wanted to do and now she's fallen off. So it's that 1 foot in, 1 foot out mentality that really is costing us our dreams. And I just wanted to come on here and kind of share all of this with you and encourage you to not rob yourself of the opportunity to be proud of yourself. Stop robbing yourself of the opportunity to shine, to inspire others, to make an impact in not just your life, because we can get really selfish, right? But stop psyching yourself out for things that are not that deep. And when I think about the things that my nephew was worried about, like, I don't know how to tie my belt, or how do I stand on the mat, or how am I supposed to do this and this and that? In the long run, those details are so small and they will feel so dated when he's a black belt one day. When he is a pro jujitsu athlete, I'm speaking it out, he won't care about those things. He'll be like, oh yeah, I remember when I was a child. But that's a lot of our stories. We worry about the details, like how is an email supposed to be written? What platforms am I supposed to show up on? What hashtags am I supposed to use? This expert said I'm supposed to do this. Is my background perfect? Guys, I can't even begin to tell you how many influencers I have followed over the years. The ones that I resonated with the most just showed up. They didn't have the perfect setup, they didn't have the perfect a lot of things, but what I loved is that they were consistent. Period. Period. And yes, over time they leveled up. Yes, over time they were able to get sponsorships and they had all this stuff happen. But I was so inspired by the beginning. Someone I think about is Alex Hermosi. If you look up that name on YouTube now, he has all the, bells and whistles and all the beautiful editing and all that stuff. But if you go back to his videos from a couple of years ago, as he was building, the dude was recording in his closet with like a nose piece for his allergies or something. He looked crazy, but he was spitting facts. He was sharing everything that he knew to share, and that was it. And people were so grateful for that time of his life. And that time of his life, he was able to write a bestseller book. He's now been paid millions of dollars. He has built up a legacy for not only himself, but his wife to also start showing up and being an expert. But it took him stepping out of his comfort zone and saying, I'm not going to let fear and self sabotage stop me from being the best version of myself. And I think that it's important to slow down and really sit with yourself and speak life over yourself. That helped my nephew. And I was like, I'm going to actually start doing these affirmations that I had him do with me. But the affirmation of, I have all the courage I need inside of me right now. It's okay to ask for help. It's okay to slow down and take a breath when I feel overwhelmed. It's okay to be brave and courageous when you're scared. These are things that matter and that we should say over ourselves. We have everything we need. Even when it feels like we're lacking, we're really not. And it's important to ask yourself, like, when was the last time I slowed down? When was the last time that I really sat in my own thoughts and I really sat with myself, separate from all the other noise? Because I can attest to this. I'm somebody who loves binging podcasts, YouTube, but at what point do I get lost? Is it my voice anymore? Is it my goals anymore? Is it my dreams anymore? Or is it somebody else's that just is packaged in this body? And the world needs more original and authenticity. And originality and authenticity is not perfect. That is literally the opposite definition. Originality and authenticity is literally imperfect. Over time, it can be refined. But when you think about the first car that was made, or the first airplane that was created, or the first phone, all of these things was the first step, but it ushered in a new age for the rest of us because someone was bold enough to take a risk and to be okay with it maybe not being perfect. And I think the more that we as adults, and I have a soft spot for kids, so I think the more that we as adults work on ourselves and work on our own bravery, the better this world will be for not only ourselves, but the next generation as well. So I encourage you to slow down and sit in silence for once, like don't have all the noise and all the music and all the TV and all the things. Like try to keep your calendar open intentionally so that you can see where it is that one, your soul resonates with. Number two, where maybe you have a block. But number three, revisiting what your why is, revisiting what the heck is it that you want. That's something that I had to journal on. And even my nephew, I asked him, what do you want to feel good? And he said, to be proud of myself. And I get emotional, thinking back to him saying that, because isn't that what we all want? We all want to be proud of ourselves. And yes, we can have all the followers and we can have the big email list and we can have all this stuff. But if we're not proud of ourselves, what was it? What was it? What was the point? There is no fulfillment if other people are cheering you on, but what you're speaking is not coming from your heart and your soul. There is no award if other people are saying that your life is amazing, but what you have going on behind closed doors is maybe falling apart in a hot mess. We want, I don't know about you, but I want a life that is holistically healthy. My business, my home, my life, I want it to be holistically healthy. And what that takes is courage. What that takes is sometimes going alone. Because back to my nephew, I could have taken the class with him, but he needed to do it himself. He needed to have something for himself. And a lot of times when we start a business or we step into the entrepreneurial world or we have a new idea, we get the download and then we run and tell everybody. And then after we tell everybody, we sign up for every course or we sign up for all the books and all the podcasts. And that's fine. There is a place for learning, but I want to encourage you to know, don't kid yourself that just because you're learning all these things, that it's moving the needle in your life, because it's not. What moves the needle is the action. What moves the needle is the pride that you feel when you actually do what you say you're going to do, when you actually step into the next level you. My nephew had to put on new clothes for jujitsu, but mentally, he had to put on a new Riley. He had to put on a new personality that required him to be brave. And it may have felt a little big, just like his uniform. It may have felt, a little different. But once he was able to knock that teacher out, well, he didn't knock him out, but he made him hit the mat. Oh my God, y'all, what you would have seen, it was like, I did it. Oh my God. He was like freaking out. And it made me excited. It made me want to go take a class. And I'm older than him by like 10 years. So I want you to ask yourself, when was the last time you sat still? You turned off all the noise, you slowed down. When was the last time you put on an uncomfortable identity that was the next level you? One that is brave and courageous, one that is the expert, not one that is trying to mimic other experts, but one that is truly the expert. What does that look like? And maybe that's something that you can journal on. But I just want to leave you with the idea and the affirmation that I had my nephew say. You are only responsible for trying your best. That's it. At every stage in your life, you are only responsible for trying your best. And if that just means showing up, going live like I'm doing right now, if that just means posting about your business and telling people, hey, I'm open for business, I would love for you to check it out. If that just means something as simple as, you name it. You don't need all the things to fill your life, to just create more clutter and create more constipation. It's important to know that it's good to keep it simple. I went to college for journalism, and we had this saying, keep it simple, silly, and it means KISS. in journalism. So when you want to get wordy or fill every detail in there, keep it simple. And that should be our method when it comes to manifesting what we want, when it comes to building the dreams that we have. Keep it simple, silly. Do not clutter your life. Do not clutter your mind with all the things that you are supposed to have. Keep it simple and watch the amazing doors open up for you. Watch your self confidence shine through. Watch you level up quicker and faster than you would have by letting your brain run wild and letting your body tense up and psyching yourself out. What you have within you is meant to come out. What you have to say that's in you is meant to be heard. And it doesn't matter if somebody else has done it already. It doesn't matter if there's somebody else who has that store or that brick and mortar or that business or that motivational business. It doesn't matter. Their life is not your life. Their story is not your story. And you are called to reach people that are assigned to you. My nephew, when he grows up, he will say, looking back, I was diagnosed with autism, but I took jujitsu with students that were not autistic. And I was one of the best students ever. And that will inspire many people. It already is inspiring many people right now. So I hope that this video helps you. Leave a comment below if anything resonated with you. And I'm just so thankful that I was able to bring this message out. It is so important for all of us to slow down and not fill ourselves with all the information, all the things to where we psych ourselves out so much that the needle never moves in our lives, because we got big things to do here, y'all. So thank you so much for watching this live. I am going to try my best to be more consistent and not let my mental plane and my thoughts get in the way. Thank you so much for watching again. And I wish you so much love. You've got this. You have everything you need to succeed right now. All the courage, all the things. Let's get at it and be great.